All right, so I apologize for the jumping around a little bit, the disjointed editing here. Turns out, when I was sitting at the computer getting all this ready, putting it together to edit it, my camera must have decided to turn itself off about halfway, well, 3/4 of the way through what I was saying. So I lost the whole back end of what I was talking about. So I went to go outside and reshoot it, and the wind has really picked up, and it's no longer a suitable environment. So I had to change locations. I probably should have just edited all this and not told you a word, but I like to overshare. What are you going to do? All right, so number two. Number one was, we were talking about, again, verse number 25, extortion, plunder, and that kind of thing. Number two, all right, excess. So we're changing gears a little bit now and still talking about the same exact thing, but we're using the E word, excess, now. This is, while plundering is an outward, people see your anger, they see your argument, your aggression, your assault, your attacks. Excess is us. It's self-control. It is maybe the catalyst for the extortion. It's what drives the extortion. The inability to control ourselves, the inability to control our temper, the inability to be temperate and to be meek. That's a problem, and Jesus is addressing it here. And he says, we need to be careful because we are full of plunder, spoils, and unfortunately, the inability to control ourselves. And he's not just talking about violent anger, aggression, but he's talking about the lusts of the flesh. We need to be careful with that. The Pharisees, they were doing a great job of looking good on the outside, but they were incapable of controlling themselves. They could not, be temperate. This idea of judgment, mercy, and faith wasn't going to happen. That act of being merciful to others to reach them with the gospel so that they would not experience judgment could not take place because they were so consumed with themselves and their own desires. And that's what honestly drives a lot of conflict, really. I mean, let's be honest, it's I want what I want and I'm always right, or I know what's best and I know what's best for me and I know what's best for everybody else. And I'm going to tell them. And, I'm not going to be empathetic. I'm not going to look at the other person's situation and try to empathize with them. I'm just going to be right. And I'm always going to be right. Jesus says we should not be that way. Look at the next verse. He says, thou blind Pharisee. Now notice, I think this is interesting here. Notice that he doesn't say scribes and Pharisees. He says just Pharisee. I don't know why. You can speculate all day long. Maybe it's because the Pharisees were experts with the outward appearance, where the scribes were not as concerned with it. Maybe the Pharisees were more hypocritical. I don't know. But I thought it was interesting, wanted to point it out. He says, cleanse first that which is within the cup, not written in the cup, that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. I love this verse. This is such a simple teaching, and it's repeated throughout the scriptures. We see it everywhere. If you're clean on the outside, oh man, having to redo this has really messed up my brain. I'm sorry. Forgive me. If we are clean on the inside, if our heart is right with God, everything on the outside is going to be right too. We talked a little bit about that in Curb Appeal, so I'm not going to rehash it. But Jesus is telling us again, and he's driving it home here. He says, your inward lusts, your excessive spoiling, your uncleanness in your insides, which you think you're doing a good job of hiding, which you think that the outside world doesn't see, which you think you're fooling God with. Let's be honest. That's what it all boils down to. You think you're hiding this bad behavior from God because everything on the outside looks nice and clean. The truth of the matter is your insides are not. They're dirty. They're filthy. And he says, he makes it very clear that we are to cleanse first that which is within. If our hearts are right, our actions will also be right. And so let's go back to conflict. Let's go back to the excess. Let's go back to the spoils. Let's go back to the excessive out of control stuff. Why are we there? Why is the church fighting amongst themselves? Why have we lost the ability to empathize with one another? Why have we lost the ability to get along with one another in so many ways? And I'm not talking about, open door. I'm talking about church as a whole. Although we always should make things real, right? Let's look inside our own doors, our own house. But I think it's important for you to see that what he's trying to say here is we need to be right in order to act right. If we are right with God, our outward actions will work. They'll be good. They'll be clean. They'll be what we want. And stop trying to fool God. Stop trying to fool other people. If you got a problem, confess that problem. Just get it out and make it right and do the right thing and be right. Because you can win the battle all you want and be full of spoil, but you're out of control. That's what God's saying. And that's not where we should be. We're supposed to be temperate as believers. And the Pharisees were out of control. The scribes were out of control. And I told you earlier about how they had gotten so far out of control that they were now consuming and destroying good men, wise men that God had sent along to help, to encourage, to send the truth. They destroyed that. I don't ever want us to be a church that is incapable of listening to the truth because we just want to win the argument, or we want to be right all the time, or we have lost the ability to control ourselves. And we let it get so far that we lie and we cover it up because we're unwilling just to admit that we made a mistake. We were willing to admit that we were wrong. And we do that in our family, right? We do that in our personal life. We get into fights with our spouses and we let it drag on way longer than it ever should just because we are unwilling to do what's right, to apologize and to reconcile and to work it out, to swallow our pride. And we let it get out of control. And we go too far and we pretend that everything's fine on the outside. One of the worst things that I think that we can do as couples is fight and then never resolve that fight. Just bury it. Just pretend like it never happened and never talk about it. And some families do that, and I guess they've made it work. And you can make that work, but man, it's so much better to actually work out your differences and resolve and reconcile and forgive and move on. And watch how your relationship grows stronger because of that. And you open communication. And each of you is having needs met. Because what happens when you just pretend like nothing's happening, that means somebody has to compromise and their needs don't get met. They're not being loved. They're not being helped. It's just the truth. At least it's my perspective on it anyhow. I love you guys. I think it's been a tough week for a lot of people and things are getting more and more challenging. And I'm seeing a lot more of this aggressive behavior. I've seen it myself. I have less patience. I have less temperance. And it's because we're allowing ourselves to get angry over things that we probably shouldn't be getting so mad about. Remember, God's the one who fights the battles, not me, not you. When we do, we end up spoiling. We get the rewards. We may even be right. But what kind of damage are we going to cause in the long run? Something to think about. I pray for everybody this week. I miss you. If you need something, I'm here. Call me. I look forward to hearing from you all. A lot of you guys have been reaching out. I appreciate that. I always like to hear from you. Don't be shy. Let me know if you want to start Zoom meetings again. They kind of petered out at the beginning of summer, and I kind of let it go through the summer because vacations, busy, that kind of stuff. But if you want to do Zoom meetings again, let me know. I have no problem doing that. Just send me an email, whatever. Send me a text message, call me, and we can start doing those on a routine basis. Probably not once a week, but on a regular basis, that kind of thing. Pray about just the verse that we talked about today. Pray about this spoils, this excess. Pray that the Lord will show you if you need to have an area in your life taken care of. All right, love you. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. Great Pumpkin out!